to the Fair Fight with Alvaro and Max. I'm Max Miller, one of your hosts, a prairie populist, an antitrust attorney, and a football enthusiast. Alvaro and I are both big fans of fairness, but we're also fans of football. And yes, I am saying football because Alvaro, when what Americans call soccer, what do they play with to make the ball go?
Their feet.
They play with their feet. We're not talking about oblong egg-shaped ball, handball, as they play in the United States. We're talking about football. And right now, the largest sporting event for football is going on in the month of June and July, the World Cup. Alvaro, are you pumped about this World Cup?
I am pumped about the World Cup, and I think that's something that a lot of folks may not know about this nerd and this
He is a nerd.
this person is that I do become a sports fan every 4 years. Like a lot of people, and I'll just speak for myself. A lot of Latin Americans, some people follow soccer every month, through their club. Some follow the national team, but there's a lot of us who were raised watching World Cups with our dads and families every 4 years and watching them pretty religiously. And so I actually do go a little bit into that mode during this time, and I'm pretty pumped about it.
Well,
Yeah, I'm absolutely psyched about it.
I remember, so my dad didn't know the first thing about soccer, about football, okay? Didn't have any interest in it whatsoever. But I remember the 1990 Italia World Cup. That was kind of my first knowledge about soccer, as a world phenomenon. And then, of course, 4 years later, we had the United States World Cup, which just, increased my passions about it. But I actually do follow. So I don't know, do you even have like a club team that you like?
Do you even lift, bro?
Do you even lift, bro? You don't even know. You don't even know, man. You don't know.
I don't have a club team.
Club.
So, but I think when your brother names his child after a certain Argentine soccer star, then you don't need to flout your cred when it runs in your veins. So yeah, I don't have a club team, Max.
But how Argentina, man? Because you're from Peru, or like your family.
Oh, I have a bunch of Argentine family. My great grandfather is buried in the Recoleta in Argentina. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, we've got a lot of Bedoyas in Argentina.
Wait, you did tell me. I do remember.
My great grandfather had 14 children, and he married my great grandmother. She died shortly after giving birth to my grandfather. He proceeded to marry her sister, which is an old custom called levirate marriage, and proceeded to have another, I think, 8 or 9 kids. And most of those kids are in Argentina. My great uncle was ambassador from Bolivia to Argentina. I got a lot of Argentine family.
So you bleed. Am I going to get this right? Is that La Acielo? Is it
Azul? Are you trying to say blue?
No.
Do you mean albiceleste?
Albiceleste. That's what I was trying.
Albiceleste. Yeah.
Albiceleste.
White and blue. I don't bleed white and blue, but every 4 years I do become an Argentine chauvinist, not or pro Argentina guy.
So what Alvaro is saying here is that his opinions about this topic that we are about to have cannot be trusted.
Here we go.
Because he is a dyed-in-the-wool Argentina fan, and inevitably,
I agree with
that's
this.
going to.
I agree with this. And it doesn't make, I agree. I am completely, utterly biased. I do not care. And you should agree with me. But yeah, no, I wouldn't take everything I say like it's in a brief. I'm arguing from the heart. And so you're going to
deal with it, and that is one of the reasons why I love football, Alvaro, is because the passion of football is just so much greater than any other sport that I've encountered in my life, right? Like I got a chance to go to a Premier League match when I lived in England, and
Who'd you see?
I saw Arsenal. It was so at the time I was really cheering for Wigan Athletic because they were up in the Premier League and they were like the Cinderella story. Like you know there was no, and so Wigan was playing Arsenal and I was living in London at the time, and so I got to go to my first Premier League match seeing Wigan play Arsenal, and I could not believe it. The amount of like people being on their feet the entire match, singing, cheering, like it was like the crowd was alive, you know, and you could feel
Oh
like
yeah, it's glorious.
it
It's
is
glorious.
absolutely
Yeah,
glorious. And
yeah.
so you know, that passion, but because of that passion, then we have to ask ourselves, because I want to give everybody to bring, because everybody who listens to our show may not be a football fan like we are, right? They may not follow the World Cup. So I think we should do a little bit of a recap
All right,
of
let's do a recap, and then let's talk about how Max is wrong at length. Give Max a moment to rebut, and let me just say where we're going,
yeah.
and then let me pass it over to you for recap, and then I will drop some knowledge on our listeners about why they should root for Argentina. So,
And I will
yeah, please.
explain why you should not.
Well done. And let me just say that normally Max is the hothead on the show. I think you would not object to
I
that characterization. It may flip this time. And Max before the show was all like, I'm gonna keep it to this one area. And yeah, and I was like, Max, I'm not. I have no. There are no rules here, Max. There are no rules. So Max,
he's
for the
sending
record,
me memes. He's
for
sending
the
me,
record, I sent you photos of Margaret Thatcher, about 8 or 9 of them over the course of 48 hours, just to know who you were rooting for. All right. So anyways, Max, educate, and
by the way,
we've had. Go ahead.
oh, do you notice the shirt that I wore today? It is white and blue for you. I did the Abasileto.
Look at this, Max Miller, Peacemaker. Albi Celeste.
But then
Max Miller, Peacemaker.
Albi Celeste, because that makes sense because it's sky, right? And so, but then I have, you know, some red suspenders to show some England love too. I would have loved. I would have loved to have cheered for the United States at this point in time.
Well, yeah,
but then Donald Trump
meant to be. Yes.
Donald Trump had to ruin it, just like he ruins everything. The man is like, what is the opposite of Midas? You know, there's the Midas touch where you turn it to gold. It's like anything that he puts his finger on, the reflecting pool of the Lincoln Memorial, or the reflecting pool in Washington, to the national football team of the United States. So let's recap here.
Let me just say for our new listeners, new viewers, had a bunch of new subscribers this last week. We normally don't do soccer sports. We might do more of it. We'll probably return to more of our scheduled programming next week and in the weeks following, although I do think we're going to take a break for the summer. And so today, please suspend all strict adherence to facts and rational thought.
That's what Alvaro needs to get you to cheer for Argentina.
Onto the bomb. Yes, you do need to believe in joy and ecstasy, Max. I will tell you this: like, you're not. We'll have some words about this. Anyways, Max, please, right. for our viewers who aren't World Cup fans,
but for our new viewers, we are called the Fair Fight. What Alvaro and I usually talk about is the corruption of money in different markets, the corruption of power, right? And I don't think that there is a better kind of intersection of our belief in fairness and our belief in having competitive markets, and then talking about something like the FIFA World Cup. Because wow, FIFA World Cup can bring immense joy. And it has. There have been moments in this World Cup, Alvaro. I'm sorry, when that kid from Cabo Verde hit that goal to tie Argentina in extra time to make it 2-2.
Joyous.
I don't think I've ever experienced
beautiful
such.
Shot too. Just
it was beautiful. It was one of the best shots of the entire. Absolutely. I mean, it was as good as anything that Dembele for France or Mbappe from France could do. It was gorgeous, but there is so much joy. But then it's been tainted, this World Cup. That joy has been hard to really revel in because of some different events that have happened. And so just at the start of the World Cup, there was a lot of controversy because the United States government was not providing visas to certain individuals on teams. There was a famous referee from Somalia who was supposed to ref the World Cup, but he was denied a visa on some, I don't know, like what did they say? It was like he had connections to terrorism. Of course, does the US government ever have to provide proof of like their claims about somebody? It doesn't seem so. So they just denied his visa. He wasn't able. Now, typically, when FIFA has an event, they use their power, right, to make the host country adhere to certain principles, such as free access, right? But for some reason, in this World Cup, and just a reminder, you might remember FIFA, the head of FIFA is Giovanni Infantino, is his name. And he's had a very close relationship with Donald Trump. So much so that before this World Cup, he presented Donald Trump with a made up FIFA World Peace Prize that Donald Trump was able to receive. So, in addition to the Somali referee, there was also the issue of the Iranian national team. Of course, the United States has been engaged in military conflict with Iran for months now. Iran was participating in this World Cup. But unlike any other team, they were forced to compete in the United States, but the Trump administration would not permit them to stay in the United States. So typically when a team is traveling to a host city, right, where they're going to play a match, they're there a few days in advance. They have time to like prepare and acclimate themselves to, that particular pitch, that particular environment. And then they, recover there too for at least a day before they move on to the next one. But Iran was put under this extraordinary circumstance where they actually had to stay in Mexico and then fly into the United States on the day of the match. And that put them at a huge disadvantage. And despite that disadvantage, I thought they played incredibly
Absolutely.
incredibly well for the pressure that they were put under. And they complained to Infantino about the unfairness. And just so people know, in 2022, I think it was, or 21, there was an under 20 event that was in Indonesia. I want to say it was Indonesia. Is Indonesia a Muslim country?
Oh, I think it's the largest Muslim country in the
that's
world.
that's what I thought. So it was in Indonesia, and Indonesia was going to deny visas to Israel, to the Israeli national team, and not permit them to come into Indonesia because of the genocide that Israel has been engaged in. And FIFA was threatening to pull the tournament from them. Say, we're going to move it. We'll move it to another country right now unless you do it. So they use their power to force Indonesia to provide visas to Israel. But when Donald Trump did the same thing, when the Trump administration did the same thing, FIFA was like, what? We can't do anything. They actually, Infantino even said that. He said, we can't do anything. So in addition to this, and I think we'll get into this over the course of this conversation, there have also been a number of controversial calls. There's been a number of events that would lead some to believe that maybe this isn't the most fair competition in the world. Maybe FIFA has a moneyed interest. You remember a few years ago, Alvaro, when the FIFA headquarters in Switzerland, I think it was actually raided by police because of the corruption in that organization. Sepp Blatter was the head of FIFA at that time. So we are in the quarterfinal round right now.
That's right.
There are now 7 teams remaining because 2 teams played yesterday, France and Morocco, and France won. So France is the first team into the Final Four of the World Cup. Today, Spain will play Belgium. Thank you. I was Switzerland. I was thinking, but that's the other side of the bracket. Yep. Spain will play Belgium today. Tomorrow will be England and Norway, which I am super excited about that match. And then also tomorrow, it's going to be later in the day, is Argentina and Switzerland. So, Alvaro, I know who you're cheering for in that Argentina Look, somebody pointed out, I thought I saw it on Twitter. It was absolutely hilarious. It's like, I don't know. Do I vote? Do I vote for the Nazis' bankers in Switzerland or for the Nazi
Ooh,
retirement home in
ooh,
Argentina? What do I
low
do, Alvaro? Which
blow,
one
low
do
blow.
I?
First of all of South America hid Nazis. It was Argentina, it was Chile, it was Bolivia. It was not just an Argentine thing.
Aren't there
And
German speaking enclaves in South
in
America?
in Paraguay, in all across Latin America, Latin Americans did some dirty stuff. And this is not just an Argentina problem. But
Fair
as
enough.
Max was getting into it, Max started on a pretty serious note talking about corruption of FIFA. Agree wholeheartedly. FIFA is corrupt. The last World Cup that was played was pretty clearly chosen, the location as a result of overt bribes.
They
And so
changed, just so everybody understands, the last World Cup was held in Qatar. Usually the World Cup is held in the summer because the club calendar works, the fall, winter, and spring, right? So then the summer is when you have the international competitions. In 2022, they changed it to host it in the winter just so Qatar could have the World Cup.
So, all right, let's end the rational part, educational part of this conversation, and just start talking about how Max is wrong on the internet. And so,
I'm wrong a lot. I'm not
what we're
wrong
going
on
to talk
this.
about today, is why you, dear viewer, dear listener, should be rooting for Argentina. And let me tell you, my friends, why I'm making this argument. I would think that anyone with eyes, with ears, with a heart and blood pumping through their veins would be able to watch what is on the screen and intuit that it is for the good of greater mankind that Argentina continue in this tournament. And yet, I am embarrassed to say that some of my own colleagues at work, some people I respect, some populists who are always for the little guy, have started saying some real, I'm not going to swear because we've learned that whenever we swear, it adds a little E to the episode, and I think it gets downranked. So I'm not going to do it, but some real ish about Argentina. They keep on saying stuff like, "Oh, I'm not rooting for Argentina because they were just the world champions, and I'm always, like
You can't. First
they're like
up,
the juggernaut." Hold on,
you've
hold on.
implied they're the little guy, and we have to
there.
talk about it.
Absolutely the little guy.
Argentina
Absolutely.
won the world. Hey, when was the first World Cup that Argentina won, Alvaro?
Probably like the 1930s, dude.
Yeah, okay. So they won in like 1970, right? They
Right.
won in like 78. They won in 86.
Let's
They
talk about
won
the
in.
little guy.
It's like
Let's talk about the little guy.
Argentina
Max,
has won
please.
more World Cups than any. Is it Brazil? Brazil
has won like 5 or 6.
Okay.
Pentacampeón do mundo.
And then Argentina is like number 2. They are not the little guy.
They are absolutely the little guy.
They are not.
Max, please call up chart 1, median income by country.
All right,
my friends. Let's talk about who is the little guy and who are a bunch of rich kids. All right, my friends.
Everyone has to bear with me just a moment because Riverside has changed everything.
I will hold people's hands through this. So, my friends, what countries are left in the World Cup? You have Norway. So just scroll down. You got Norway. You got Switzerland. You got France. You got Belgium. England isn't ranked separately. Let's call it the United Kingdom. Another thing. England, United Kingdom gets like 5 separate teams, which is some other BS.
So it dilutes. It dilutes their
talent
separate
pool. Chances. They have 5 separate chances. No. You think the Isle of Man is a legitimate entity that should be playing in these games? No, it's all BS.
But Wales and Scotland are. And Scotland are legit.
Wales. Yeah. Right before you inherit the British crown, you are the Prince of Wales. Totally separate entity. Anyways.
So what does this tell us here, Alvaro? 14.
Go down.
Okay,
go to the list. Go to the list. No, go scroll
down.
Oh,
there's a list.
There we go. All right, my friends. Let's take a tour through the remaining countries on this list. You that are about to play in the World Cup. You have Norway, the 3rd richest country in the world, the 3rd highest median income in the world. Max, I don't think a lot of people realize this, The Norwegians are so rich, they are so wealthy that they tease and make fun of the Swedes for being poor. Swedish people go to Norway to work, and the Norwegians make fun of them. That is how rich Norway is. Then you have number 4, Switzerland. Switzerland is the 4th richest country in the world. Then you have France, the 14th richest country in the world. Then you have Belgium, the 16th richest country in the world. Then you have the United Kingdom. A little further down, you have Spain. And all the way at number 49, you have Argentina. Argentina is not a wealthy nation. Argentina, I don't even think is part of the OECD. All right. You've got a nation that doesn't have a lot of things going for it. What do they have going for it? Number 1, they've got great art. They've got Jorge Luis Borges. They have Mercedes Sosa. They have Jorge Cafrune. Beautiful art. Number 2, they have steak. They have wine. Best in the world. And number 3, they have joyous, ecstatic, life-affirming soccer that gives people reasons to live. And the scrappy as hell nation is taking on all these rich kids, and it beats them over and over and over again. And as Exhibit A of this joyous, ecstatic soccer, we're going to call up the 1986 goal of the century by Diego Armando Maradona. Let's do it, Max. Let's do it.
Doing it.
Give people what they need. Give people their daily sucker.
Give people what they need.
Right. Let me set the stage a little bit. Let me set the stage. It's 1986.
Wait a second.
We are in the
Azteca.
We are in the Azteca, which I believe is at 9,000 feet. 7,000 feet above sea level. It is the semifinals of the 1986 World Cup in Mexico City.
Against the very excellent English national team.
Against the very pale and very lanky and very tall English national team. You've got Argentina heading them up with their captain, this gorgeous man, Diego Armando Maradona, measuring in at 5'5". And my friends, I want you to watch this. So this is starting out roughly at a little before midfield. Take it away, Max. Passes to Maradona. Here's Maradona. Loses 2 separate defenders. Sprinting down, basically leaping over. Loses a 5th defender. Loses a 6th defender. Loses the goalie. Turn it up. Quiero llorar. I want to cry.
Look.
My God. No. Don't turn it off. Don't turn it off. Let it play.
Alvaro, come on.
Diego.
Nobody.
Maradona. Es para llorar. Perdónenme. Maradona.
Nobody denies.
Gol de Diego Armando Maradona. ¡Qué golazo! ¡Qué golazo! Argentina está sacando 20 personas. ¡Un monumento!
Nobody denies Maradona was one of the greatest, right? Until Messi probably was the greatest. And I don't think anybody denies that goal was a beautiful, incredible, well-deserving of praise goal. However, just a few minutes before that goal,
are you talking about the hand of God?
Yes, right. because like this is about fairness, right? This is about corruption.
For you, it's about fairness.
Yes, it is. Yes, yeah. It's a competition. It's sports. It should always be about fairness and about whether or not there's corruption in the system. Because right before that goal, it could be that the English national players, that the Three Lions, that team, was a little bit miffed that they had just gone down 1-0 to Argentina because of this goal that Maradona made. It's not goal. Beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
I've got so many.
Life-affirming goal. Go ahead.
I'm sharing
Cast
it here.
Your aspersions. Share it,
I'm casting my aspersions. So here's Argentina on tech. It's 0-0 at this moment in time.
Seen that much of hard draw, Trevor Stephen.
You've got to use the British announcers. Chip.
Oh, you might think that's a beautiful goal. You might think that was gorgeous. However, Maradona went up with his fist and he punched the ball into the net. A clear handball. This is before VAR. VAR is video assistant review. Yes. So the English national team, maybe they were a little out of sorts because I think it was only 4 minutes. I want to say that it
was 4 minutes apart. Correct. Yeah, the goal of the century followed the hand of God. Yes.
If we do not have fair competition, if we make exceptions because somebody is great like Maradona, and I think it's good that we're starting out talking about Maradona because obviously Messi is almost a carbon copy of Maradona, and we'll show a video here in a second just to show why. But if there's special treatment that is given to certain players, because I don't know, maybe they make money, Alvaro, like maybe FIFA wants Maradona to be in the final. And that match was a semifinal at El Azteca. And, for the English national team, I'll just say there's a lot of ghost about Azteca because of that Maradona. It's called the Maradona match, right? Like that. It was Argentina won 2-0, if I remember. Yep. So those 2 goals,
the 2-1, I think, at the end.
Oh, 2-1 in the end. You're right.
Yeah.
So hand of God, that was an illegal goal. That was totally look the other way. Glorious illegal
sustenance giving manna from heaven,
says the Argentine over here. Anyway, continue on. I just think that people need to understand that goal of the century is tainted. It's tainted because an illegal goal was granted to Argentina before that one.
So we need to talk about one word, 3 syllables, about why this goal is just poetry and just everything everyone needed at that moment. Do you know what that word is, Max? Do you know what that name is?
What is that word?
Belgrano. Do you know what that is?
No.
That, my friend, is the Argentine warship that was illegally sunk by the British in 1982, killing 323 Argentine sailors outside of the exclusion zone set by Argentina. I want to take a step back and enter Max's world of rational argument.
Yeah, let's talk about the Falklands War.
But I just want to say there's no good guys in this war. This was a military dictatorship in Argentina. It was a junta. They were murdering young people who opposed them. Meanwhile, the British had Margaret Thatcher in charge. They were utterly uninterested in the Falklands, wanted to get rid of the islands. The Falklands, of course, are a series of islands 300 miles off the coast of Argentina, primarily populated by.
Is that showing, Alvaro?
It is showing over here. Yes, Margaret Thatcher. Let's take this individual off the screen for a second. So you've Margaret Thatcher,
like Reagan. She makes me cringe.
Well, I mean, I think she's much worse than Reagan. She was an ally of a strong supporter of Franco, a strong ally of Pinochet. She is someone who propped up vicious, bloodthirsty regimes. And
do you know that I was working in London on the day of her funeral procession?
Oh, I didn't know
through
that.
London. Yes.
Oh, interesting.
I was up in the city of London and got to see it all. And the vitriol that look, there's 2 types of Brits. There's kind of the wealthy class, and then there's the working class in Britain. And the wealthy class loved Margaret Thatcher because she lowered their taxes. Right?
Oh, interesting.
She deregulated industries and basically made it easier for rich people to exploit workers. And so they're like, oh, she was great. She saved Britain. But anybody that comes from the working class of Britain, the vitriol that they spewed, even, usually when somebody dies, people keep their contempt to themselves, right? Usually.
Right, yes.
We're
that's
like,
right.
But
yeah,
Thatcher,
there's a norm. It's a cultural norm that you don't speak ill of the dead.
But Thatcher inspired so much hatred among the working class of Britain that it was evident in the city that day.
And so let's go back to 1982 for a second. Basically, you've had this decades long and longer actually dispute around sovereignty over the island. The Argentines long said it was theirs. The British long said it was theirs. And it is true, the vast majority of inhabitants of the Falklands then and now are English speaking and consider themselves, subjects of the crown. And maybe I'm using the wrong language there, but that is the truth. But it's not like the British government was married to this island. As I was saying, I think it's the Foreign and Commonwealth Office largely considered it a nuisance. You had a British minister visit the islands in the lead up to the war, basically saying, "Hey, let's do a lease back agreement where we agree." This is an officer of the British government traveling to the Falklands, telling to the islanders, "Hey, why don't we just all agree that Argentina is in charge and we will lease the island back for 99 years?" And the islanders were like, "Forget you, this is ridiculous." But anyways, there's a dispute. The Argentine junta decides they've had enough. They decide to invade, and Britain responds. The United Kingdom responds. Okay. And so a military conflict, no one is right in a war like this where you've got, two terrible governments on both sides.
Right.
But what happens with the Belgrano?
Kind of like the United States and Iran.
Well, I don't know. I think the U.S. war against Iran is a little more clear cut from my perspective. But let's go back to this one. And you have an Argentine naval ship, the Belgrano, with, I believe, roughly 1,000 people on board. Now, it is a war. It is a war. But the British have said there is a 200-mile exclusionary zone around the island. This Argentine ship is 36 miles outside of it, going away from the islands towards the mainland. And a British nuclear submarine launches not just one torpedo to disable it, but two. Now, if you're not familiar with this part of the world, this is very close to the South Pole. I don't know if it's overtly in the Arctic. It's very close. You often have effective temperatures of 20 degrees below zero. You have 15-foot waves. And so the British decide to sink this ship outside of the exclusionary zone as this ship was moving away from the field of conflict. It starts sinking. Some people die on board as a result of the explosions, but what actually happens is everyone gets off the ship. The captain is the last to get off the ship. And then it is so freezing cold that 323 sailors, the majority of whom die from freezing to death, and yes, some drowning as well in the waters around the ship. And so there is an outcry, not just in Argentina, there's an outcry in the UK.
Yeah.
Because people are saying this is a war crime. Like and then the other thing is that these sailors are regular kids. They're teenagers, they're young men, and here's the other thing, Max, is that a lot of them were of Italian descent. And up until that moment, Italy was supporting the UK in trying to call for a boycott of Argentine products into the EU. And then the Argentines print the list of names of those dead sailors, and like 90% of them are Italian. And Italy then takes a step back and says, no. Go ahead.
Is the Italian president, because I've noticed it, like, look, even think of like Messi, right?
Oh, yeah, no,
Messi is an Italian name.
There's a strong argument that Buenos Aires is the largest Italian city in the world.
But is it because of Italian fascists who went to?
Oh, no. This
Where does it come from?
This is much older. This is so. What very quick thing on South America. So the Spanish colonized the Andes, the Portuguese colonized Brazil. There was a very strong European presence outside of the Iberian Peninsula in the south. So in Argentina, there was a strong English presence.
Well, that's why the English had the Falklands in the first place, right?
Right. There was a strong English presence. There was a strong Italian migration. The second language, I think, of most Argentines is Italian. Now, it may be English just because that's what you're taught. But this is a culturally, it is the most culturally European nation of all of the of South America, and frankly, a lot of Argentines do consider themselves European, and a lot of South Americans do not like them for that. But anyways, so the Belgrano sinks, And this marks the beginning of the end of the war. Argentine retreats its warships. Italy lodges protests and says, we're done with this. This cannot stand. These are our people who just got, these are our teenagers who just got sunk into the ocean. And so the war wraps up. Argentina, I believe, eventually surrenders. And so this World Cup comes in the wake of this war that Argentina lost, and lost horrifically. And look, they invaded. So is
that why FIFA allowed Maradona to break the rules and go up 1-0?
No, but
does it justify?
It is why let's exit the realm of. So I was in the realm of rational. I'm exiting the realm of rational. It is why it feels so freaking good, Max.
I understand.
And hold on. These soccer matches, these World Cup matches, are part of a broader geopolitical fabric.
Always.
And
it always has been. Yeah. And the Olympics too. Yeah.
This goal, paired with this beautiful other goal, was Argentina's way, Maradona's way of settling the score. And there is my father talks about it. There's a little bit of a thieves' pride in Latin America that, and Peruvians talk about it too. There's a famous joke. The Peruvians tell, the American president, the French prime minister, and the Peruvian president are on a plane. And the American president sticks out his hand and he says, "Oh, I can tell we're over the United States." And someone says, "Oh, how? How do you know?" He's, "Oh, I just felt the top of the Statue of Liberty." And then they keep on traveling for hours, and the French president sticks out his hand and says, "Oh, I can tell. We are above France." And then how can you tell? How can you tell? And he says, "Oh, I just felt the top of the Tour Eiffel," right? And then they're flying, and then the Peruvian president sticks out his hand, and he's like, "Oh, I can tell we're over Peru." And the other guys are like, "How do you know? How do you know?" He says, "Someone just stole my watch." and so there is a thieves' pride about Latin America that, like, look, you may be stronger than us, you may be richer than us, but we're gonna get you, right? And so, coming 4 years after the hold on,
are they willing to corrupt systems to get that revenge?
Hold on, no, don't try to bring that rational thought in here, man. 4 years have elapsed since these 323 sailors were killed. Argentina is feeling sore as hell, and you have this freaking artist in Diego Armando Maradona who comes in and just slaps the hell out of England and basically avenges what happened. And he himself says this was revenge. He says this, and the reason it's called the hand of God, because one of the beautiful, flawed, but beautiful things about Diego Armando Maradona is he was arrogant as hell. And
totally
so
arrogant.
He is asked after the match, like, "Hey, Diego, ¿qué ese gol? ¿Qué pasó ahí? ¿Qué pasó? What happened to that goal? It seems like it was a handball. And he goes, "Che, fue la mano de Dios." Which is a way of saying, like, it literally means the hand of God, but in Spanish the expression is like, "Oh, like this was a greater thing that happened." And this was Argentina's way of saying "F you" to the British. And I will just say, avenges
by cheating.
What's worse, a handball or a war crime? I think it's a handball. Sorry, I think it's a war crime.
They are not related. And this is why I asked you, because I know what you're trying to say is like that it's like that the ends justify the means.
No.
Right?
I'm not saying the ends
but here's the deal. Those English players, those English squad, they weren't responsible for that war crime.
Spare me. I will just say
they worked hard to be there. That was 20 years.
I have an important nomination to make, which is this: Diego Armando Maradona, I will just say, settles this score, avenges his countrymen without without shedding one drop of red blood. All right. Basically, everyone is at peace. All right. And all this guy did was use a handball. And therefore, Max, I nominate posthumously Diego Armando Maradona for the actual FIFA Peace Prize. That is how we should remember him. He was a
fair
great
enough.
Man,
good
and it was
turn.
a great goal. There you go.
But moving
There you
on
go.
to the next generation, because like you're making the affirmative case here, Alvaro, and you haven't even gotten to Messi yet. And
That's
I
right.
do think we need to
I think I'm
transition.
ahead. I think I'm ahead. I think I'm ahead.
Well, yeah, because I haven't rebutted yet.
Oh, you have it. Okay, get in there. Go rebut. Go rebut.
No, because I do want it. Like, I think we should talk about the heir apparent to Maradona. Maradona was largely considered to be the greatest of all time when he played and after he played. And then came along a young kid. Where's Messi from? The suburbs of Buenos Aires? Where is he from?
I don't know where he's from in terms of geographical, but he was a poor kid who had a growth disorder, and he was a soccer phenom. He is recruited to Barcelona and goes there, I think, with his dad. And one of the things Barcelona says is, "Look, we can give you human growth hormone." This was, 15 years ago. More actually, probably 25 years ago. He's in his teens, and this, poor small kid goes to Barca to train, and he's very lonely. He's a shy kid. It's a really hard time. But yeah, he goes to Barcelona where he enters. There's a name for the Barcelona school of soccer, and so that's how he gets a start.
But interestingly enough, he is very similar to Maradona. I'm going to show here, Alvaro. This is Messi.
para Messi, 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 immens Messi, encara 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 Messi, gol, 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 gol.
Now they're going to do a side by side here with the hand of God.
It's poetry.
No, Barça talla la pilota. Deco l'envia cap a la dreta per Xavi. Assistència de Xavi, més cap a la dreta per Messi, 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 immens Messi, encara 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 Messi.
That is amazing. Like, absolutely.
So describe what you saw for folks who are listening, because I think a bunch of our folks are listening.
For folks who are listening, the Maradona goal of the century is him weaving in between players, beating the goalkeeper and shooting it into the goal. And then what would that be, Alvaro? Probably 20, 30 years later, Messi in a Barcelona uniform does almost the same exact part of the field.
Yeah.
Almost person for person, beating defenders in the same way. He basically recreates the Maradona goal of the century, for Barcelona. And look, I'm going to tell you, Alvaro, I have a lot of respect for Messi. Okay. I have some problems with the way FIFA gives him preferential treatment, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But I think Messi, I still remember in the 22 World Cup, I watched the final, and like the first thing that Messi did when he won was go and find his family. Like,
he's a family man. He's not like Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not vain. He is he's a modest, humble, shy guy. Now, obviously, that's changed since he become an international superstar. But he has always been not about the parties, not about the women. He has always been a family man, down to earth, bunch of charity.
I saw an interview with him. I saw an interview with him where his kids were like tugging at him and like wanting his attention, and he had to like totally like, cállate, just like, and it was beautiful because I'm like, every father has been there where it's like he's trying to give this like post-match interview, but he's like, tending to his fatherly duties. So look, and this World Cup, just so everyone knows, people were kind of expecting Messi to take a little bit of a back seat because he's old now. He's 38 years old, and
which is pretty old for a soccer player. I think he's 39 now, actually.
39. So
yeah,
and just so everyone knows, Cristiano Ronaldo, who exited in the round of 32, he was 41, one of the oldest World Cup participants. But it's very hard to maintain that level of athletic ability at that age. And even if you have a very great athletic ability for a person of that age, the idea that you can compete against kids in their 20s, right, who are at their athletic prime, it's insane. But Messi is doing it. He is right now leading, along with Mbappe, If I'm not mistaken, I think they're tied right now at the top.
At 8 goals or something.
At 8
like
goals
that.
apiece.
Yeah.
And Messi has become in this World Cup the most goals scored of all time in World Cup competition. I think he's sitting at 21 goals.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And so he's roundly considered to be the greatest of all time. And I would have a hard time arguing with that because the man is poetic in the way that he moves the ball. And this tournament, we've seen some just amazing goals from that man. But, and is it okay for me to move into my rebuttal?
Get in there. I didn't realize we hadn't gotten there yet, but you get in there, man.
I've been kind of going, and I assume that you will challenge me on some of the things that I'm going to talk about here. Okay. Leo Messi. It is pretty much accepted in football communities, gets some special treatment from referees. Now, why would this be? It is certainly because he is a cash cow. Leo Messi brings people in. Even in this World Cup, I've heard commentators say, well, I want Argentina to win just so we can see Messi one more round. He is a draw. He is such a great player that it creates more money for the sport of football, for FIFA, right, when Messi is playing. And given what our job is, Alvaro, given that we know antitrust law, we know the corruption at the highest echelons of markets, right? The way that having power and money causes people to feel entitled to put their thumbs on the scale, right? To make sure that they continue to benefit, even if it's not moral, ethical, or right in any way. And my fear is that FIFA is so corrupt. And I'm going to get into a minute here, the Argentine Football Association, which I believe is also corrupt, that there has been a corrupt bargain to essentially pave the way for Messi and the Argentine football team to be able to, if not win the World Cup, to certainly be at the final stages of the World Cup. I'm going to show you, I have an image here that I want to show. This was the first match of the World Cup for Argentina. And if I'm not mistaken, this was before Messi scored any goals in the match. But he took this is Algeria that they were playing. He put his spikes into the back of the calf of the Algerian player. This, under FIFA rules, is a red card. Okay, it endangers, and if you watch the video, it's like intentional what he was doing. He wasn't making a good faith effort at the ball. He wanted to inflict damage on this Algerian player. Any other player, not only would a foul have been called, because there wasn't a foul called in this instance, right? No card was given, but any other player would have gotten an immediate red card, which means they would have been taken off the pitch, which means that the team would have had to play with 10 players moving forward, and the individual who got the red card would have to miss the next match. Now, over those first two matches, I believe Messi scored 4 goals for Argentina, right? None of those goals would have happened. He wouldn't currently be the most goals in the World Cup, this World Cup, and of all time. He wouldn't have those 4 goals if they had followed the rules and given him the penalty in that Algerian match.
So Max, there's a slight problem here, which is that photo's clearly AI.
You're so full of it.
Messi has one finger. That's just one finger. How come his hand has one finger, Max?
You are crazy.
How come he has one finger, man?
Alvaro admitted,
he doesn't.
He doesn't like facts. He doesn't like.
I think you're throwing up AI, and but look, man, continue.
He's like fake news.
Alvaro's continue your lawyerly disposition
the election was
on
rigged.
The beautiful game. Continue to crush people's joy through Exhibit A, Exhibit B. Please continue.
Look, you can have joy. You can have joy in this World Cup. You can even have joy. I have joy at watching Messi score goals. And I'm so sorry. I've got a new camera here, and it is clearly starting to starting to sag a little bit. I can't believe this. I bought this fancy camera for my, because I can I tell, I'm going to take a little sidebar here. Last week we had a storm come through Des Moines. I was sitting working on my computer. I have my computer set up with a surge protector and all that. There was a flicker of the lights in my house, like a lightning strike or something, and my computer died. And it wouldn't start up. It was basically no power was going to it. And I've come to find out I had an HP computer. It was only about 15 months old. I had an HP computer that I bought. HP-ish. I'm going to try to avoid that E rating here. HP. I will never, ever own an HP laptop again. But anyway, I got a new laptop. The only problem is that the webcam, the camera that's in the thing is not good. My HP one wasn't great, but this one is even worse. So I finally bought the bullet and I bought an expensive web camera. Hopefully I look a little bit prettier to all the people out there. But do you know how they attach it to your laptop? With sticky. It's like the stand is sticky. It's not like a clip or anything. This is an expensive camera. And I was looking at it last night and the stickiness was worthless. Just absolutely because the camera is so heavy, right?
You're talking about this fancy 4K camera right here?
Yes, the one that I'm doing. The only way that I've got it to stick to my laptop is using command strips, right? Instead. Oh, wow. Yeah, and using multiple of them. But even then, it's over time, the weight of the camera. I'm gonna change my whole setup here in August when we come back from break in August. So hopefully I'll have I'll probably have a little tripod for my camera and make it all nice.
Excellent. I think you should go back to your lawyerly disposition on how Argentina is terrible. I think you should move on to argument B, counselor, please.
Okay,
please
argument B is this. So I'm not even gonna get into the Egypt match. Where just so everyone knows, Egypt was up 2-0. They should have been up 3-0 because they had a third goal. Yeah.
See? Just for folks listening, the camera pivoted down and we saw Max's coffee mug and his glorious torso. And
my beer belly.
I didn't
this
say
is
that.
absolutely. I am.
Normally you are a joy-filled human. Now you are a joy-denying ascetic, pencil pusher and school marm. And so I think the camera is responding to the audience not getting their usual Max, their usual joy-filled, passion-filled Max, and instead getting this dry disquisition on rules. But continue, Max, continue.
If this camera can stay up, which I'm skeptical. God dang, I'm gonna have to figure this out. So Egypt should have been up 3-0. However, they had a goal disallowed. And the reason the goal was disallowed was because of an apparent foul that had happened 30, 40 seconds before on the other end of the pitch. Because FIFA has a rule. How could I spend this much money on a camera only to have it be this worthy? I'm going to be sideways here for,
all right.
for whatever.
You don't look sideways. You look good.
All right, fine. Egypt had their goal disallowed by Zico. Zico had this beautiful, they had a run down the pitch because, and look, I'll say it probably was a foul, right? It probably was a foul, but the fact they didn't call it at the time, right? It was reviewed after the fact. They were well, we got, and it's apparently it's a FIFA rule. I didn't know about this rule, but if a goal results for the other team and there's kind of a questionable foul, it's okay for it to go back to VAR review. So they disallow that goal. All right, fine, right? So Egypt's still up 2-0. And look, Egypt has to take responsibility for the fact that they let Argentina get back in that match. And why did they get back in that match? It was because of the heroics of Messi, right? Messi turned, and it was so funny. I heard Thierry Henry talking about it, and he's like, look, it's he turned something on. He was down 2-0, and at that point in time, it's Messi was just okay, because Messi is kind of famous for just kind of trotting, walking. He just kind of like walks around the pitch.
Preserves energy. Yeah.
Yeah, he conserves his energy until he's needed. And something switched in him, and he became an animal, and he turned that whole game around. And not just him, other players on Argentina turned it around too. But he's clearly like the leader of them. But the goal that they won,
mystical and magical, man. Mystical.
The goal that they won, Alvaro, the third goal, resulted from a foul on the other end of the pitch that was not reviewed by VAR. And that's where I start to like think this is a crazy competition where there are different sets of rules for different teams. And to get on that, we haven't even talked about the Balogun red card yet. The United States, and I hate to say this, Alvaro, I actually cheered for Belgium against the United States. And the reason I did it was because Balogun had received a red card in the match against Bosnia. It was a questionable red card, probably not one that should have been given, but them's the breaks in football, right? You deal with it. And Balogun was supposed to be out for the match against Belgium. The team had prepared for it to be without Balogun. The Belgian team had prepared for it to be without Balogun. And Donald Trump made a phone call to Infantino and said, you need to review this. And FIFA broke their tradition, broke their, standard practices. They cited, what was it, Rule 27 or
Article 27.
Article 27 of the FIFA ethics book, which, I mean, FIFA and ethics to me is like a laughable contradiction right there. And they basically rescinded, what they did is suspended the penalty for Balogun so that he could play against Belgium. And that allowed Belgium, I knew at the time, in fact, the Fair Fight Twitter account, I posted something about the fact that nobody's thinking about how the refs are going to take this. Like, here all these United States people were celebrating and all that. And I'm like, what are the refs going to think about this? Because they had made that decision. And typically FIFA doesn't interfere with a ref's decision, right? Like, and it, not just the ref on the field, but also the VAR had been involved. Multiple referees had made the decision. Balogun had a red card and he needed to be suspended, and FIFA overturned that. And so anyway, Belgium came out, they destroyed the United States 4-1. It was a pathetic showing by the United States. And my guess is that they were probably soured by all of the attention about Trump being involved on their behalf. There probably were half the team that was like, that's good. Half the team was like, that's bad. So disagreements among the team. Pepe, who was supposed to start, didn't get to start. But this is just an example of FIFA's corruption and how they're willing to put their thumb on the scale to benefit certain allies. So we all know that Donald Trump is corrupt and that he's willing to bend rules to get what he wants, right? But what about Argentina?
Okay, hold on.
We're going to go here. Alvaro, we are going to go here.
Yes, okay, look, you are comparing the most powerful man on earth repeatedly pressuring FIFA to get what he wants, so much so that the corrupt people at FIFA give him a fake peace prize that should have been posthumously awarded, as we all recognize, to Diego Maradona for his 1986 performance in the semifinals against England. And comparing that to Argentina benefiting from favorable calls from the refs. Like,
no.
What Argentina?
No, I'm not going there.
Has no money. Argentina has no money because it's our money they have.
So, but the football team has money.
Are you suggesting that the Argentines are bribing the refs? Isn't it more likely, Max, that the refs are worried about Messi? They do, the other thing about Messi, Max, is that he gets fouled like crazy. He is marked 2 to 3 men deep. They chop at him constantly. The man is 39 years old, which is like 800 years old in soccer player years. Okay.
It's like, so this guy's cat years or
this guy's
years,
about to get cut down. The greatest soccer player that has ever lived, probably since Pele, is about to get cut down by some journeyman hacks on the other side. And
journeyman
hacks. The refs are watching out for him, as well they should. So do you not think that maybe
who's watching out for the Algerian player that had the spikes in the back of his
everyone should go look. finger in that image that is clearly an AI image. Max is pushing disinformation. And so, anyways, I think what is happening is that the refs want us. What is it, Ben Franklin? That like God loves, beer exists because it's evidence that God loves us and wants us to be happy. The refs love us and want us to be happy, and so they're making sure Argentina does okay. Not corruptly, but in just making sure that calls get played the way, calls get called the way they should get called. That's all, man.
I'm going to take this in a bit of a different direction, Alvaro.
When are you going to argue for England, man? I'm looking forward to that.
Look, England is my second team. The United States is my first team. England is my second team. And going back to when I was a boy of German heritage, Germany is kind of a distant third. Yeah. Oh, Deutschland. Yeah. Oh, das ist so gut.
All right.
So, but I mean, look, we need to talk about England, Norway at some point in time here, because I think that's going to be an epic match.
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, no, because in your love of Argentina, you failed to mention anything, and you did talk about how poor Argentina is. Not poor, but the median income, its economy is much less than the other. But how do superstars like Messi work their way through the system to become part of the Argentine national football team? There is a dirty, dirty secret about how Argentina does its development that was recently exposed by, right before the World Cup, ESPN had an 8-year investigation. And I want to make sure that I get this gentleman's name right, because he deserves a lot of credit for what he investigated, what he found. His name is Steve Fenaru. Steve Fenaru. And there's a great article that's called The Dream Factory Inside the Cruel System. This is behind Argentina's soccer empire. So what this article goes through is how young boys get recruited into and developed for the Argentina football system. And look, it is partly because of how rabid of fans Argentinians are, that permits this system to exist. But essentially, clubs in Argentina are able to sign hundreds of boys. And that's what these are. We're talking about kids as young as 8 years old, up to 16, that they're being signed onto a professional football club, part of their system. But are these contracts paying contracts? No. Because of the demand to get into the system, these clubs are able to exploit these boys. Many of them are coming from impoverished communities in rural Argentina, right? That they're just trying to get out of that poverty. And they are told, well, great, you can come and train with us, but you're going to have to pay your own way, and we're not going to pay you. Now, Alvaro, as somebody who cares about labor, who cares about the exploitation of the little guy, right, against powerful entities, this is a disgusting system. Because
absolutely, as
far as I know, those other wealthy countries like Norway, like England, like Spain, they actually, if they choose somebody to be a part of their system, they undertake an obligation to pay them. But what then comes from this system where they have hundreds of boys in a development system that do not have actual paycheck, right? Well, each club has their own, and Alvaro, if I get this word wrong, let me know. It's called pension, a pension, which is like a hostel. Like a hostel, like a dormitory, right? So pension. So each club has like one, but that's only for the top recruits, right? That's only for the ones that maybe have been able to negotiate getting paid because they're a real prospect, right? So then what for all these other unpaid prospects? Well, they're told to go to a bunch of privately held pensions. And this is what the ESPN investigation gets into. What you have are these unscrupulous, private owners of pensions who, we're talking 20, 30 boys to like a house that should fit like 6, right? And they're stacked up. They don't have food. You know, one mother was talking about her son eating like chicken carcasses and rice with like bugs in it, like that they basically treat them like slave labor. And these boys are giving their everything. And then what's worse, Alvaro, and this is where getting into whether we can ethically even cheer for this Argentine national football team. Sexual abuse is rampant. That these pensions are being used to put, and there was an investigation in Argentina. I hope I get this right. It's in the ESPN article, but that as much as 60% of the boys in these pension systems have been groomed, is the word that they use. So it's like, you know, text messages, images being shown to them, but basically being groomed to be sexually abused. Now, are you familiar with Alexis McAllister on the Argentina national football team?
Right.
Okay. Alexis's dad and the dad's brother, so Alexis's uncle, they have the McAllister Football Club in Argentina. And this ESPN article has a not beautiful, that's the wrong word. I'm sorry. It's a heart-wrenching story of a mother whose son was sexually abused within the coach of the McAllister Football Club. And this is Alexi's uncle. His uncle was recorded. A conversation was recorded. The mother saying, you have to fire this coach. And Alexis's uncle, I think it was Patricio was his name, Patricio McAllister, is saying, this happens everywhere, right? And like we even knew that this coach like molested kid boys at the previous club that he was at, you know, but this is Argentine football. And it's like, you're lucky to have an opportunity, right? This is the system. And this is where does this come from? This is corruption, right? This is power and this is money. There's very little money in Argentina, as Alvaro started out, you know, talking about this, but where there is money or the hope of money is in becoming a professional footballer. And it is that dream, right? That people coming from impoverished communities around Argentina, that they show skills at football and that they could potentially be good. And there are people within the Argentine Football Association. And by the way, part of this, the Football Association has actually killed investigations like into this system. That there was a prosecutor, I forget her name, but the ESPN article gets into it, that she was trying to like prosecute it. And the Football Association essentially intervened to make it go away. So I have an ethical issue with cheering for a corrupt system that is producing sexual assault on impoverished boys who are just trying to make it to the limelight. And I'm sure there are some that are able to get through that system without being, you know, sexually abused. But what seems to be the case is that those that aren't quite good enough, right? They're the ones that are being chewed up by the system. They're being exploited. And they end up in a worse situation than before they got into it. So that's my just principled reason. Take away the hand of God by Maradona. Take away the favorable treatment of Messi. But I will not support the Argentine national football team unless and until they fix the problems that they have in their development system.
So look, let me take a step back here.
Was that good enough, Your Honor? Was that?
I think you misunderstood the assignment, Max. But look, obviously, what you're describing is a horror, and the exploitation of these boys is a horror and should stop immediately. But I think what you're doing is you're taking the victims of that system and blaming them for the system. Like, ooh. I think what you're actually tapping into, Max, is the fact that there is
I'm blaming the FA. I think I was pretty clear about that. I'm blaming the Football Association.
But hold on, but you don't want to cheer for the young man and Messi on the pitch because of this horrible thing that's happening. But anyways,
well, McAllister, like, it's his dad and uncle who are part of the perpetuation.
but is this you're blaming the sins of this guy's relatives on
Fair enough.
him, and
Fair
my
enough.
computer's doing funny things now. Can you see me?
You're freezing up a little bit, and so we might have, but it should be going. Hopefully, it's going out correctly.
Okay, but I will just say, Max, look, obviously, what you're describing is a horror and should end, and is a travesty. And Argentine soccer is corrupt. The league is. Oh, the recording has stopped. Let me refresh.
Yeah, it's saying that, but now it's back.
Okay.
I tried to do. Oh shoot, I lost you. We're gonna wait for Alvaro to get back here, and in the meantime, sorry about this, folks.
Am I back?
You are back.
Yeah, but look, let me just quickly say, yeah, of course, what you're describing is wrong, but I think you are kind of, I don't know about making my point, but tapping into the source of my point. Argentina has pools of young people with no money who desperately want to make their nation proud. And when they go on that pitch, they're not coming from some rich country where there's a gazillion other opportunities. They're coming from a country with much more limited opportunities. And they make art on the field. They create ecstatic,
it's the beautiful game.
Football,
it's the beautiful game when Argentina plays.
Whereas your three Lions just go down the sides of the field, they lob it in, and some tall British guy hits it with his head.
No,
and
Jude
it's in the back of the net.
Jude Bellingham puts it off of his boot.
Okay, occasionally one of the tall, one of the tall, lanky, model-looking Brits. Yes, sometimes
are you talking about Eric Crouch
into the net?
Mr.
I'm talking
Roboto?
about all of them. I'm talking about Kane. I'm talking about Bellingham. They all look like Beckham look. They all look like they should be on the cover of some magazine. Whereas
Jude Bellingham is a beautiful man.
Whereas Leo Messi,
he is a beautiful man.
Leo Messi is a small, ugly man who plays his heart out. All right, so that's who I am for. Yes, I am also, like you, Max, against the exploitation of young, impoverished boys in the AFA system. But when they get on the field, they are who they are, and they make beautiful, joyous soccer. Unlike
I just want them to have the same rules apply to them.
Unlike the British team, which gets on and is the lukewarm porridge of, the British team is too lukewarm. Whatever, they're lukewarm porridge. Hey, everyone gets my point.
Can I tell you just a second though? Because
Alvaro, lanky, they get exhausted. They can't play in Mexico. It's good, but
you just said they can't play in Mexico. Who won that? They had a BS red card. Their guy is suspended for 2 matches. Talk about mistreatment here. But they went into Mexico. They went into that altitude and they beat Mexico in their home stadium with 90,000 Mexican fans, and they won 3-2, even with 10 men down. That is heart, my friend. That is the 3 Lions heart. It's coming home. But you like that?
It's coming home, not to your home, Max, to someone else's home.
To England. Okay? Hey, my eldest child was born in London.
All right, to your eldest child's home. To your eldest
child home.
And
but
those
can we talk?
Men who should be in modeling will win and won that match. Credit to them. But this is not a modeling contest. This is a soccer. This is the World Cup.
Are you saying that Erling Haaland is not a model?
You're right. All those other guys are models. My Messi is a small, ugly man who plays his heart out, and therefore I love him. That's why we should root for them.
You all listening you've heard both sides of the Argentina story. You can make your decision about whether you cheer for the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Leo Messi and his compadres. But I do want to, before we end this up here, I do want to talk about the match on Saturday, because I think it is going to be one of the best matches of this World Cup, which is
Argentina, Switzerland. The other one.
Come on, you know that the Swiss
Norway?
are boring. The Swiss are boring, and like I said, you know what is it? It's the Nazi bankers versus the Nazi retirement home.
All right, go ahead. Talk about your little model versus model match.
England-Norway. Does anybody understand the historical significance of England?
Handsome Boy Modeling School tracks.
Okay,
which is a band. I'm going to look it up. Don't worry.
England-Norway. For those who do not know, the origins of the nation of England involved Norway significantly. Consistently back in like the first millennia, right? The Vikings were coming, they were invading, they were settling in England. You had for a while, there was King Canute. King Canute was he had conquered England. This is, everybody talks about 1066, right? Because that was the Norman invasion of England, right? So the Anglo-Saxons, but like a generation before that, Canute from Norway had come. Actually, I think he might have been from Denmark. I could be wrong on that, but Denmark, Norway, that whole Viking region invaded, took over the entirety of England. And so there has been fights between England and Norway going all the way back to the 11th century. This match is going to be beautiful. It's in Miami, right? I think it's going to be.
I think so.
And it's
yes, that's right. It's in Miami. Yeah, that's right.
It's in Miami. If you are in Florida, if you're in South Florida, get tickets to this match. Erling Haaland,
ready for some sunburned men,
because they're both very pale. Men. It is an outdoor. The Miami Stadium's outdoor, right?
Beautiful men on the pitch.
Do you think Erling Haaland is beautiful? That man is not.
He's a beautiful. Oh yeah, I mean he's a specimen. And I'm looking forward to England running it down the sides and then lobbing it in so a tall, lanky Englishman can knock it in. And I'm also looking forward to understanding how it is that England is one of 5 separate teams that plays for the United Kingdom. And I'm also looking forward to all those beautiful photographs that are going to come out of that event that will certainly make me feel good, but do not in any way remotely resemble the art of El Águila Celeste. So
yeah, but where was football invented?
Alvaro? You're right. They invented it, and then they brought it to Latin America, where we perfected it and actually made it art, as opposed to what angry coal miners do after coming out of the shaft to basically burn off their frustrations. So yes, it used to be just this grim game where you run it down the sides. Again, kick it up so one of your tall, lanky friends can hit it in with his head into the back of the net. And then it came over here, and we gave you Pele, we gave you Maradona, we gave you Garrincha, we gave you Ronaldo, we gave you Ronaldinho, we gave you Romario, we gave you Bebeto, we gave
Carlos
you
Roberto,
Batistuta,
right? Did you say?
We gave you Canija, we gave you Maradona, and we gave you Messi. And a bunch of people in between. So yes,
I think you said Maradona twice. Just
I did say Maradona twice. I should have said it 16 times because he is the actual.
Did you say Ronaldinho?
Did you say? Man.
I think Ronaldinho is perhaps one of the greatest of
Ronaldo,
all time.
Ronaldinho, and not to mention Neymar. No, man. Yeah, thank you, British. I have British ancestors. I haven't even mentioned this. You know, I'm a Garland dude. I've got ancestors from Liverpool. I have a great grandfather who was the mayor of York, and so
wow, that was a Viking town. I don't know if you know this. That York.
I don't.
Yeah, it was Northumbria. Because Northumbria, the original northern part of England, because that's where so many of the Norwegians and the Danes had settled and all that. But York was kind of like the capital of Northumbria. And every time that there was a Viking invasion in England, they would go down the river to York and seize York as their base in England. So, but this Norway-England match, Harry Kane versus Erling Haaland. It is going to be a beautiful match.
Beautiful.
Lots of great, beautiful sunburned
tall men.
I think we've kind of run out of, unless you have anything. We've
run out, Max.
I think we've run out.
I think you should go be a lawyer somewhere. Go make lists of things, and continue to prosecute. While I'm going to go enjoy the beauty of the game and the art that's on the pitch. But
are you watching? What's today's Spain, right?
Spain, Belgium.
Spain, Belgium. That'll be a good match. And there's a real question of whether Belgium is who they were against the United States or who they were against Senegal. You know, it'll be interesting to see.
All right, my friend.
This has been the Fair Fight.
Yeah,
ladies and
yes.
Albert, why don't you tell them where they can find us?
Yeah, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcasts. Most episodes are not like this. Most episodes involve mostly rational argument. Today it was just Max who was bringing the rational argument to the table. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please do subscribe or follow. If you can throw us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple, we would appreciate it. And we'll be back soon with some more argument about the money at the top hurting all of us underneath and why that should be a fair fight. Until then, my friends, I hope you enjoy the World Cup. Both, yes, England, Norway tomorrow, and Argentina, Switzerland tomorrow, as well as Spain, Belgium today. May this be another great and joyous cup.
Thanks for watching. Friends. Thanks for listening. And keep on fighting for fairness.